Hello and welcome to the Center for Military Modernization. I'm Kris Osborn. Really glad you're here. About 8 years ago, I had the honor of talking to a former Air Force chief scientist, and he was an autonomy specialist. One of the things he said is they were working on an F-35 or an F-22 and the ability to control a drone or a group of drones from the cockpit, reducing latency, not needing to go through a ground station. Well, now that day is here. And we had the honor of talking about this at the Air Force Association with a very senior Air Force Research Lab decision maker, Mr. Kris Ristich. He is the Director of Integrated Capabilities. Not long ago, the Air Force was able to demonstrate that a Valkyrie, which is an unmanned system, was able to share information with an F-35. This opens up a whole sphere of new tactical possibilities. I asked Mr. Ristich.
I want to ask you about cargo planes and returnable drones like Gremlins or something like that. But first, what about manned-unmanned teaming? Years ago, it was a concept, but now with Valkyrie, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, there's an ability to data link an F-35 and an F-22 with a wingman kind of drone.
Right.
That strikes me as paradigm changing and the arrival, if you will, of something that's long been sought after.
Right. Yeah, and that's part of a bigger picture with where the ABMS effort is going as well, right? Is establishing that architecture, which is really an architecture of networks, how we pull that all together to be able to conduct warfighting operations. The man-to-man teaming part of it that you see in that example is just a portion of the challenge that we have too, right?
I'd be real interested in how much you're reducing latency. Instead of needing a data link to send something through a ground command and control center, you have a cockpit performing a human that command and control. How much faster can you find a target and kind of destroy it?
Well, we're still trying to understand that better, frankly, but you're right. Latency is absolutely key in modern warfare. So we're trying to understand what kinds of activities we can do through local area networks versus mesh, long range, beyond line of sight.
Don't let me forget to go to hypersonics, but first I have to think of hardening networks. I know that's been a big focus. I remember General Polakowski's 7-point plan years ago to build in resiliency earlier in the weapons development process.
Right.
As you make these networking breakthroughs, what are some of the cutting edge things you're doing to secure and harden those connectivities?
Well, frankly, most of what we're doing is working with mission partners and different agencies across the government to help us assess vulnerabilities and then mitigate them.
Interesting. What are a couple of the gateway technologies you're looking at? I've heard a number of them are cutting edge. There's a radio that can change frequencies and link an F-35 with an F-22 in real time in a way that and preserve stealth.
Right, and actually maybe the broader technology area there is RF-defined apertures, radio frequency-defined apertures. So with software-defined radios, where we can change the frequency, we can change the waveform, we can actually change the function of the system too, where it can go from a radar to a communication system.
And sir, it probably seems almost too self-evident to mention, but one has to think about how manned-unmanned teaming and reduced latency will impact tactics and concepts of operation.
Absolutely.
If there's one 5th gen that can control a small fleet of drones to test enemy air defenses, even launch weapons with humans in the loop, as you say, what are some of the other ways that you're considering sort of analyzing how this will change formations?
Well, ConOps development is not the job of the laboratory, of course, but it's part of our outreach and our partnering with the operational part of the Department of the Air Force as well. So if you look at a lot of our different activities in the Integrated Capabilities Directorate today, they're founded on bringing operators, technologists, and acquisition folks together from the very beginning so that we have the stakeholder buy-in, an understanding, and ability to shape the concepts as they evolve, and that includes ConOps development.
Now, with combat collaborative aircraft, there are a couple of key parameters. One, they're thinking nearer term and something attritable that is also affordable. So there's an opportunity to potentially reshape tactics. Unmanned systems could move forward and blanket an area with ISR, beaming back real-time video feeds and near real time. Or they could test or attack enemy air defenses. They could carry weapons forward, all while a piloted aircraft stays at a safer standoff distance. The concept is to potentially jam enemy air defenses or have forward eyes, if you will, to see and destroy enemy targets. And these combat collaborative aircraft, these drones, and the ability to connect with 5th and 6th gen manned fighters is here. Kris Osborn, Warrior Maven, Center for Military Modernization.